Right. शेयरिंग का प्रोफाइल कैसे जनवरी में जो हमको बीडी के लिए मतलब बहुत से
Hello, Molly. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you're audible.
Okay. I'll just wait for 2 more minutes for people to join in and then we'll start.
Your voice is a little low. It's coming
Okay.
a
Is
little
it
low.
is it better now?
Yes, much better.
So I'll just wait for 2 more minutes for people to join in and then we'll start.
Hi, Chaitanya.
Hello. Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening.
So yeah, if you're here, I think we'll just start. Let me just check participants. Yeah, okay. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to MSCI MedFest 2020. I'm Chaitanya Kalra, the Vice President for Finances at MSCI, and a very warm welcome to all the participants to our fourth session of Decode the Specialty, where we have with us CA Hardik Dave, who's the National Director of Entrepreneurship at World Youth Heart Federation. He's a practicing chartered accountant with specialization in startup consulting and tax and regulatory laws. Dave is a mentor for startups and budding entrepreneurs and has also worked with Ernst & Young LLP and Baker Tilly International for around 5 years prior to commencing consulting practice. So, Dave, I think we'll begin our webinar with the most basic question that I think you could think of. So, Dave, according to you, what is the scope of entrepreneurship for a doctor after completing their MBBS or MD?
Yeah, thank you, Chaitanya, for such a warm welcome. As in, you introduced me very well. Thank you so much for that. Now, starting to answer your question, as in why someone in healthcare sector, as in someone who is a medical student, should think of entrepreneurship, right? As in, because the doctors are paid well, and on the lighter note, doctors are paid very well. So why someone should start or someone should think of starting entrepreneurship? What are the opportunities which are available for people? So for this, there are two important things that any person who is planning to start any startup always look for. And any entrepreneur always look for two things in the idea that he is planning to start. Number one is potential of making money out of it. And number two, what possible impact on the society that idea is going to make, as in how that idea could benefit the societies on a larger level, right? So first, talking about the potential of revenue making, as in the commercial feasibility of any startup which is planning to be launched in this startup in the healthcare sector, right? So you have the data, you have the statistics on your screen, the particular to be very specific, that the Indian market, as in if you are planning to start and startup in the Indian market, we have a very huge population, as in more than 130 crore of population in India. And we all know that every person needs to visit a medical facility at any point of time, as in at least once in a year. And most of us are not that healthy owing to the lifestyle that the kind of lifestyle that we live in, right? So we do need to visit the medical facilities. So in that way, if I have to talk about the potential of market, as in what could be the addressable market for someone who is planning to start a startup in this sector, then I could probably say that the market is very huge, 130 crore plus population in India. And if we have to go by the market size, it is almost, I could say, 372 billion US dollar. It's going to reach that number by 2022. For now, it is somewhere around 280 US dollar billion. And there have been very favorable changes in the macro environment, if we have to look at them, which supports entrepreneurship, right? You must have, as in, I know that the viewers of this video must be all the people from the medical sector. But if you have been tracking the news for last 5 years, the government has been pushing the healthcare agenda on a very rapid pace. You must have heard of the terms like Startup India, Stand Up India, and the government planning to support and mentor startups in all the fields, including the healthcare field. And also, government has been planning a lot of schemes, a lot of policies, so that they can increase the accessibility and affordability of the healthcare facilities across the nation. And for that, the government has have made a target that they would increase the healthcare expenditure to 2.5.
Problem.
Am I audible to you now?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Okay. So I was talking about the macro environment. So number one, the government is very supporting nowadays. if you are planning to start any kind of startup, including something in the healthcare industry, you have the full support of the government, of the policymakers. Apart from it, a lot of positive changes in the mind of public, as in nowadays people are more cautious about fitness freak diet, as in to be healthy, to be fit. You must have heard of the Fit India movement. Large number of people adopting a healthy lifestyle. That is the way that it offers opportunities. All such movements, all such things always come up with new opportunities for the people. And to summarize, as in why any startup in healthcare sector could be very, very successful, and then it does have the potential to become a successful startup, maybe a unicorn. It is because of there is a need for technological innovations. There is a need for affordable and accessible healthcare facilities. And also we have all the support from the government, from the public, as well as from the investors who would be very keen to invest if you have a very sound business idea, a very sound startup idea. We have the success stories of startups like Precto, Mfine, NetMeds, Tricog, and Grameen Healthcare. So if you have to read about their stories, I'm sure their success story will definitely inspire someone who is planning to start up in healthcare sector. So that was the first side of it, as in the potential to make income out of it, as in to become commercially feasible startup. Number two is impact. So there is a statistics that 70% of the medical community 70% of the medical community is serving only the 30% of the population, because only 30% of the population is living in urban areas. And by that logic, because 70% of the medical facilities are located or targeted at the urban areas, so it goes by saying that 70% of the medical community is serving only 30%. But now, if you have to look at this quote in the other direction, that we have the potential to serve the remaining 70% of the population who still, as of today, do not have access to affordable healthcare facilities. So there have been a large number of startups nowadays coming in community health, in rural healthcare sector, where they offer diagnosis services, clinic on wheel concepts and all on a very affordable rates. And also the impact that you would be making, that any other startup might help you in some other way, but any startup which is coming up in this particular sector, in the healthcare sector, would always save life of people, and which I feel is definitely the biggest impact that any startup can make in the on the life of people. So I hope, as in to just to address this particular point, why entrepreneurship in healthcare sector. So I can just summarize that there is no need why not to think about the entrepreneurship in healthcare sector, because such startups are commercially feasible. They have potential to make a lot of income, versus the impact that they would be making is very, very great. It saves the life of people. With this, I hope, Chaitanya, it answers your question, right?
Yes, sir. Those are some really impressive stats, and thanks for those impressive numbers there. My second question would, like an immediate follow-up question that I would have is, how do students who are interested in entrepreneurship start off with their idea? Like if they have an idea on how do they go about it? Where do they start exactly?
Okay, so it involves two questions. Number one, that why someone should think of entrepreneurship, that I have already answered. Okay, how, as in why entrepreneurship could be really successful in terms of commercial feasibility as well as the income potential. Now the second question comes, should you, as in any person who is viewing this video, this live webinar for now, or maybe who is watching the recorded version of it, if you have to think, okay, entrepreneurship offers a lot of potential, but should you be doing it? As in, should you really venture into the entrepreneurship world? For that, my answer would be yes, you should start, but the choice is very difficult, because as I told, that the medical people, as in the people who are in healthcare sectors, they have a very good earnings, as in they can get a very good job, a well-paying job, and also the impact they would be making by working at some other hospital would be almost, you could say, same as you can make by starting a startup, as in you are saving the life of people. But the question comes, should you be starting your own startup versus you should be working for someone else? That is the question I feel needs to be answered by yourself, as in you just need to introspect, okay, how best I can serve the society, as in, because after all, the medical people are said to be the frontline warrior, right? As in, among this pandemic world, we all know the positive contribution of the medical community, the doctors and all, how they have been saving the people for almost now more than 4 months. So that is how you should answer these questions by yourself. There is no other person who can, I feel, who can answer this question, as in, should you be going for entrepreneurship? The answer would lie whether you want to go. And number two, if you want to go, do you have a great idea which can serve the society, which can make you commercially successful entrepreneur, right? So if you get the answer, ki, okay, I want to start a startup, as in I really want to go into the entrepreneurship world. Now the next question comes, how to start? Because, and this is the major problem that the people face. Most of us have some or the other kind of idea that, okay, I can do this business, I can do maybe something else. But to having an idea in your mind versus to go to the ground level, starting the work and then making that successful, the journey is a long one, and the journey is really, I could say, tedious. It is very difficult. So and there is a science, I could say. Starting a startup is a science as well as it is an art, because if you go step by step, if you can understand the things, how startup would work, how you can start the work, if you can understand those phases, the starting the startup journey would be really simple for you. So I have divided the whole journey, step by step process, into smaller steps which could be understood at one point of time. The process is there on your screen. So for the first thing that any person should be doing when you think of starting any startup in any sector, maybe healthcare sector or anything else, the first thing that we should always do is ideation and market research. You have some kind of idea in your mind. Now the first step is whether there is any other person who is doing the same kind, who is working on the same kind of idea. If yes, what are they offering? What else, what different thing that you could probably offer? Here the most important part is doing the market research as well as understanding the problem that you are trying to solve. For any startup which is there in the industry, for example, say Precto. So Precto is solving a problem. Okay, it was difficult to find a medical expert. So now you can find them online, you can book an appointment, and then you can consult them. So that is the problem. The problem that Precto is trying to solve is, okay, how to find a good doctor, how to find a medical expert. Maybe versus a medical startup like Grameen Healthcare. Grameen Healthcare is now a Gurgaon-based startup. It may not be that well known to the people who are watching this video, but the idea is Grameen Healthcare works towards the community health, the affordable healthcare facilities in rural areas, right? So for them, the picture is completely different, right? As in, they are completely working in a different area. So here comes the first important thing: work on the idea. Try to find out what problem you would be trying to solve. So this involves the first step, defining the problem that you would be aiming to solve. Number two, finding a solution to it. Okay, you know, okay, the rural areas doesn't have access to affordable healthcare facilities, accessible affordable healthcare facilities. So now you need to find an answer to that. Okay, how you can answer that, how you can solve that problem. So you need to come up with that kind of solution. So the first step, I could say, in ideation process was to define the problem, versus second step is to come up with a solution. And if you can come up with a solution, do a market research. Is there anyone else who is already working on that kind of problem, that kind of solutions? And if yes, what difference you would be making from them to distinguish yourself from the others? Now after this ideation ka phase, as in once you have decided ki, okay, I am targeting this problem versus this is my solution and these are my all competitors, the next step is to validate the idea. What does that mean? This is most important thing, and a large number of startup entrepreneurs would make a mistake here. We don't feel that comfortable to talk about our startup idea to the people before we start. But it is equally important for us to talk to the people, get their feedback on the solutions that we are targeting, because what happens, whosoever gets any business idea, he would always feel, okay, this is a great idea, but it may not be that way, right? As in, if I think today, okay, I'll start with X thing, I would always feel, okay, this would really be wonderful, it can do wonders in the society, but maybe it is not that great. It needs a large number of planning for the execution part of it. So here comes the second part: validate the idea. And what does that mean? Validating the idea means talking to the people, your target audience, for whom you are trying to solve the problem. For example, let's continue. I am continuing with the example of rural affordable healthcare facilities. So now you see that, okay, the people in the rural areas do not have access to affordable healthcare facilities. So this is the problem that you think that the other people living in rural area are facing. Now you need to go to them, talk to them, okay, this is the problem that I feel, as in I feel, okay, this is the problem that you are facing, and for this I am planning to come up with this kind of solutions. Would you be ready to pay for this solution? Because after all, we are doing business, then we need to charge money to them. And if you need to charge money to them, they should be convinced with your idea, convinced with your solutions, and they should be willing to pay you for that. So this is, as in, you can just go and talk to the target audience, the target customer for yourself, get their feedback, as in, okay, this is what I have planned. Do you think that I should come up with something new? Do you want me to add anything else? Do you want me to delete something from this idea? Maybe something that we can delay for now, and we can start with a basic prototype for now. So this is how you would validate your idea, as in whether it can work or not. It is basically, it is to check the acceptability of the solution that you are planning to come with from the people to whom you want to sell that solution, to whom you want to serve. So once you get a go ahead with this particular exercise, ki, okay, my idea is good, the people are really interested to buy my idea, to invest in this, or to pay for my products or services, then now comes the actual work. Ki, okay, you have a very sound idea, now we can actually start with it. So now comes the first exercise, and it is team building. What does that mean? One single person can't do anything, and specifically for the people who are from medical startup, you would be really good at your particular domain, as in you would be very good with the technological innovation that you have made or the kind of services that you could provide, but you would need a partner who can take care of the other aspects of business. So, someone who can understand the legal part, someone who can understand the financial part of it. So for that, it is very, very important for us to find a perfect mentor or a co-founder who can help us to sail through this journey, who can help us to be a perfect partner for us, who can work on our idea and make it a successful startup. So and apart from mentor and co-founder, the third important person would be the team, all the people that you would need in the initial phase for your startup, because the main problem here is that you would not have much money to pay to them. So they must be believe in your idea, they must be okay to work with you in the initial phase where your startup is not having any kind of funding and all. So this is the third part. You have validated the idea. Post that, you need to work on team building, where you need to find a good mentor who is already working in that particular domain, or maybe something, or someone who is a successful entrepreneur, or someone with a very good experience who can help you with planning all the things, a co-founder who can help you to execute your plan, and a team who can support you, who can help you with all the execution work. So with this, once we are ready with mentors and co-founder, the next aspect would be whatever product or service that you have planned, you need to build a prototype of it. What do I mean by prototype? For example, you have made an technological innovations where you have a new device which can measure the heart rate at your home, as in something innovative of that sort. So now come up with a basic version of that, launch that application on a pilot basis, test it, get feedback from the people, and keep improving your product. So this is how I would summarize the fourth and fifth pillar, the fourth and fifth stage in the diagram that you are seeing on the screen. Building a prototype, just for the startup community usually say minimum viable product, MVP. So building a MVP, launching that MVP, that prototype on a pilot basis, testing it, getting the users feedback, and post that, planning a big commercial launch once you have a perfect product for yourself. But this particular 5 stage ka entrepreneurship journey, there are few caution points where everyone needs to be super cautious. These are the important points which are there on the screen. Number one, legal considerations. Because if you are planning with a startup, you would need to take the legal registrations for your business, as in to have a company registration, LLP registrations, to register a trademark, to get other approvals from the relevant regulatory body. For example, so you need to take some approval from the drugs authorities, you need to take some other kind of approval. And also, if there is some innovation involved in your solution, then you would need to go for the patent of it before you actually launch it before the public. Otherwise, someone just might copy your idea, someone might copy your innovations. So for that, the first thing is always get yourself legally insured, get yourself legally protected from all the phases, from all the aspects, so that no one else can take advantage of the work, the hard work that you did for your startup. Number two, team partners and mentors. That is the most important thing, because one person would not be able to work on all the things. You would need a team who can help you with all with your journey. Number three, funding is very important. Now, funding is a concept which by itself can take a very huge time if I have to explain in detail. But one simple principle when it comes to starting a startup and keeping the funding aspect of it in your mind, that always try to bootstrap yourself. And what I mean by bootstrapping, it means invest out of your pockets, invest from your father's money, invest from your friend's money, something that you can arrange on your own level. And once you are exhausted with your savings from your local channels, and you think, okay, now I need to scale my operations, I need to launch my product on a larger level, then you should go for funding, because investors would also be interested to see the product in your market before they actually give you any money. So having a prototype in the market is very important. So if you can manage, as in if you can plan the initial operations with your own money, that would be really great. But exception to this, that there are investors who are ready to invest on ideas also, if idea is interesting and the team who is working on that idea is capable of executing that plan. So this is how we take care of the funding part. Number four, if you are a medical student and you are working with some college, you are studying in some college or some research center, a large number of colleges now have the entrepreneurship committee and incubation centers. So go to them, get your idea incubated at any incubation center associated with your college or somewhere in your city, because all the incubation centers have access to a large number of mentors, a large number of investors, large number of people who could potentially become your co-founders, your business partners. So it is very important that if you get an opportunity to get yourself associated with any incubation center, then you should definitely go about it.
That sounds really interesting, Dave. So once we have an idea and once we've gone through these processes, how do you think we should go about finding the people who will join our team and work effectively with us?
Right. So I first thing to confess, I know that a lot of discussion that I have been doing technical, because this is something in startup community which is not at all relevant to medical people, as in we don't do such discussions, talk about such terms in our practical life. But if you want to start in a new domain, you need to get accustomed to the terms that we use in this particular industry, right? So for this, I have been consciously using the technical terms, but now answering to Chaitanya's questions, as in how to find a perfect team, how to find a perfect partner. First, talking about how to find a perfect partner. So it is often said by people who are in startup community that finding a partner is as important as planning, as in finding someone for wedding. As in, if you have to propose someone, will you marry me? The same proposal should go for finding a business partner also, because in most of the cases, it would happen that in the initial years for your startup, you will be spending much more time with your business partners than with any other person, maybe your family, maybe your someone special, any person it could be. But the fact is that you need to spend a large amount of time with them. Number two, the person has to be someone who believes in your idea, right? Because you as a promoter, you as the main person behind that idea would always see that potential, you would always have that long-term vision for your business. But it is quite possible that the other person who is planning to join you, he might not share the same vision that you have in your mind. So this is important, that when you are looking for any co-founder, first talk to them as much as possible, talk about their personal life, talk about their professional life, talk about their vision, what are their long-term plans, so that you can get to know about them as much as possible. Of course, talk to them about their professional expertise, their domain expertise. For example, you are looking for a person who can help you with marketing activities. Talk to them about their past experience, how what kind of project they have worked in past. So this is how, these are the factors that you should look when you are hiring someone, you are meeting someone as a potential co-founder. But the question is how you would get it, as in where, what could be the possible sources where you can find such person. So what happens now, talking about the practical world, in most of the cases, the partners, as in the business partners, are usually family relatives or they are friends, which is the most common example that we see in India. Someone, maybe if you are starting from the college, then a college friend would be your partner. If you are starting later while in job, maybe your friend who was working with you in that company. If you're planning to start at a later phase, maybe some family relative could be your business partners. But I feel that could be very risky thing to do, because you should start with someone as a partner only if that person has that domain expertise who can actually help you with that part. And also the other factor that I talked, as in sharing the same vision, having the same energy, and also their ability to work without money for initial phase of time. Because in the initial phase, when we start startup, there is no one to pay you remuneration, right? As in, once your business would get sufficient amount of funding, once your business would get start making good amount of money, then only you can have someone as in who can pay you, as in you will start making money out of it. So the factors that we need to consider here is very simple. Talk about their vision, talk about their personal life, talk about their professional life. Would they be interested to work without money for the initial phase of time? How to find that person? It could be your family, it could be your friend, or if not possible, then go on to search LinkedIn, go on to networking events. There are a large number of startup communities which are there, online communities. Go to them, find the people who are having that skills that you are looking for as a co-founder. And also there are a few platforms which specifically helps you to connect to a co-founder, as in a person who would be interested to join as a partner. One of them is foundersnation.com. It's a website, not from India, it's an international website, and they have a database of people who are interested to join as a co-founder in any startup. So they have both kind of database: person who is looking for a co-founder versus a person who wants to be or who is available to become a co-founder. So you can check their website if you have any idea and you are seriously looking for some co-founder. Founders Nation is the website ka name, and there are similar platforms available. But in most of the cases, as I told, it would happen that they are from your friend circle, they are from your family, or someone that you met at some networking event or some other event, and who you find that that person could be really wonderful to work with.
Thank you, Dave. That was a really interesting answer, and glad to know about these things.
Now, this is the most important question, right? As in, if we have to just take one key takeaway from this, the simple answer would be: find someone to whom you can propose, "Will you marry me?" And that person should say always yes. He will marry you or she will marry you.
So, Dave, what is the upside of doing an MBA after our MBBS degree? Like, do you think it would open up more avenues for budding doctors?
Yeah. Now, this is a recent trend which has been happening, as in a large number of medical professionals, medical people, medical students have been opting out for uh, studying business, right? As in doing an MBA, healthcare management MBA, somewhat of that sort. Now, what someone, as in, if you have to start, if you are someone who is thinking for doing an MBA after you complete your MBBS or medical studies, should you be going for that studies? Should you be really pursuing MBA? The answer would lie, number one, why you want to do the MBA? Because MBA is more about business studies. So number one thing that you have to consider would be that what is your end goal? What do you expect from MBA? If you are planning to start any startup and you want to just have basic knowledge about how to run a business, there are a large number of online resources available on YouTube, several courses, startup courses, which are available on platforms like Upgrade, other platform, Udemy and all, where you could educate yourself very well, something that you would study in MBA college, right? So if your idea is to just see okay, how the business world is working, then you can definitely teach yourself, educate yourself from the online resources which are available. Number two, you don't need to be master in business administration, because at any time you can find someone who is your partner and who is proficient in business, as in someone who is MBA. He could be someone who is a chartered accountant. They could help you with the business administration part. What is expected from yourself as an healthcare entrepreneur, that you should be, of course, having a good domain expertise in your particular field, in your particular domain. Plus, you should be having a sufficient understanding of running a business, which I feel is very well possible from the online resources that there are available. We have online MBAs now coming up on a large number of platforms, so that could possibly work. But with this, I don't want to say at all that MBBS, doing MBA after MBBS, is not at all important, because it opens a different kind of plethora of opportunities for you. And what can that could be that before you want start your startup, you might want to work with a healthcare company, and to gain practical experience from them, so that you can use that experience when you start your own business. Number two, so as in so if you have MBA in healthcare management after, and if you do it after MBBS, then that would be the best thing to do, because you will get, it will help you to find a job in any healthcare company, and in a business profile also, as in you, where you are taking care of both the operational part versus the business part of it, business administration part. So, and that experience can really be helpful, but again it would require investment of a large amount of time. Number two, if you are planning, as in if you don't want to go into entrepreneurship, you just, as in if you don't want to start your own startup, you want to work for a good company, multinational companies, then they, of course, they offer very good packages to people who are MBA plus MBBS. And in that case, I feel you can definitely go for opt for MBA after MBBS, because this is a new trend which is happening. Every new domain of studies, when it comes, it is attractive to a large number of youth. So, and MBA plus MBBS is something which is now a recent trend. So if you want to join that race of people who are there to find who are there looking for good opportunities in corporate sector, healthcare corporate sectors, then I feel MBA plus MBBS could do wonders for you.
Thank you, Dave, for that. Sounds super interesting, really. So, Dave, as you know, like for MBBS, like studying MBBS, it's a lot of, it's hectic, right? It's a lot of studying, and it's very different from non-medical courses. And so, how do you think we can manage this studying schedule along with engaging in entrepreneurship?
Right, perfect. I think that's a great question to ask. As I told when I was discussing about how to start any startup, what could be the possible phase, and that question is somewhat I feel that is now more connecting. Okay, because what would happen in most of the cases when you're planning to start a startup, you must be studying in some college, or you must be working in a job where you get this idea and then you plan to start your own startup. So before the time, as in before actually you move into that startup full time, you would need to manage, there would be a phase where you need to manage both the part. Number one, studies or the job, and while working with your startup idea. But how to manage entrepreneurship with studies, job, then I think that this quote which is there, hello?
Yeah, it's fine now. There was some disturbance, but I can hear you now.
Right. So as in if the question is that, okay, how would I be, as in if someone who is having a self-doubt, okay, I would not be able to manage studies plus my startup initial work, or managing the startup work with my full-time job, then I feel this particular quote from the great entrepreneur of this century, Elon Musk, would definitely help you. And the quote is something which is there on the screen, that when something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. As in if you feel that something is really important for you, if you have that pulse, if you have that passion to start that work, then you would be able to manage. But now to answer this question in a more practical way, how to manage, then my practical advice for any budding entrepreneur would always be that don't leave your job or studies before you actually have a ground level startup. We are always very fascinated with the stories of college dropouts who went on to become very great successful entrepreneurs, like someone like Bill Gates or maybe Ritesh Agrawal of Oyo in India. But trust me, that's a big risk that we can take. If you are comfortable with that level of risk appetite, you are bang on to go on that, you can definitely take that risk. But the safer approach towards would be that you work on the startup idea in the initial phase, you plan everything, you work on the idea, you do the market validation, you work talk to your people, build the first prototype of your product, find a person who is ready to invest. So do all the groundwork that you need to do before you leave your studies or take a dropout from your college, or you leave your job. Before that, this particular groundwork, homework, I could say, should be already done. And then you should be somewhere on the day which is last day for your job or the studies. Then you should be that comfortable on that day. Okay, the moment I quit my job or quit my studies, I have this particular work to do, and this is the work that I will be doing for the next 3 months, 6 months. This is how I want to go about it. So that is the phase when you should think of going into startup world full time. now how to manage studies and entrepreneurship, because I know the final years of medical college are very as in they takes a lot of time. There are a lot of activities which are to be done, but my answer would be again simple. If you are passionate, you will be able to manage your time. And if you see that commercial feasibility, if you can see yourself 5 years down, okay, if I started today, where I'll be 3 years after, 5 years after, then I think you will not have any difficulty to manage your times.
Thank you, Dave, for that. Now, we have a lot of questions from our audience, and I'll just go through them one by one, and you can just pick them up. So there's a question: what are the opportunities available post MBBS in the corporate world for work experience, in case we want to do an MBA abroad?
Right. So as I told, the recent trend is MBBS plus MBA, as in you do MBBS and then you go for MBA, and the opportunities are there in corporate sectors only, and specifically the foreign companies. The foreign companies are really keen to hire Indian medical students, because we are considered to be, as in you guys are considered to be very intelligent in your domain area. So the opportunities are very bright, no doubt on that. A large number of international companies from UK and US are specifically very keen to hire Indian employees. A large number of them are also setting their bases in India, as in Bangalore is the city, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Mumbai are the city where they are having their main operations and all. What kind of role you will be getting there? So as you will be having a combined experience of business administration, as in domain area. Of course, you have the medical knowledge, plus now with MBA you will be having a good understanding about the business concept, business administration. Though with that, you as in the people usually get a very good leadership role, where they need to manage teams, as in you can target a CXO position in a shorter time, as in a 2 years, 3 years period. Before that, you will have good experience. You will have good experience of managing the overall functions, both business administration with the medical domain area, of course.
So, Dave, according to you, what is more valuable, MBA after an MBBS or after post graduation?
Now, MBA after post graduation versus MBBS, I would again like to stick to my main answer, that why you want to do MBA is really important. If you are looking for job, then I feel post, as in once the more experience that you have in your domain area with an added on experience of business administration would really do wonders for you. And it also depends on your personal choices when you want to really enter the corporate world, right? As in, if you are fine with continuing or studying post MBBS, further studies, and then go for MBA, you are okay with that. The most, as in what could be the right option, right choice, I feel that if you're comfortable with doing MBA post graduation, as in after you complete a post graduation, that would be the most ideal thing that you can do. But if you are, as in now, the young people are not that passionate, they really want to start at the very early age, then in that case, you can immediately start after your basic graduation studies, basic medical studies, and with that, you can immediately enter the corporate world, where you will get the actual work experience, and post that you can start your own startup.
So, Dave, there's a question asking, what are the tax laws surrounding independent doctors? Like, is it any different from the other working class, basically non-medical professions? Is there a difference, or is it the same for all?
So the tax laws for all the professionals are same. And when I say all the professional, it includes chartered accountants, it includes medical people, legal people, and architect, interior decorators, event organizers, something that we can consider as a profession, right? The very simple, as in two parts of tax laws, GST and of course the income tax. So now talking about the income tax, the law is very simple. You need to offer 50%, at least 50% of your revenue as income. If you are not offering that, you can just get your accounts audited through a chartered accountant. And then if you are really making losses, if you are really not making profit much more, as in up to 50%, you can get your accounts audited. Otherwise, the tax slabs, as in the tax rates, are same for all the citizens of India. The basic slab being 2,50,000, where no one needs to pay any kind of tax. Post that, the income from 2,50,000 to 5 lakh is taxable at the rate of 5%. Then 5 lakh to 10% is taxable at the rate of 20%, and beyond that, it is taxable at the rate of 30%. And it remains same for all individuals. If you are doing practice through a corporate model, maybe if you are having a partnership firm, company, or LLP, then the tax rates are different from different kind of entities, but it remains same across all the professions.
Okay, so there are no exemptions or tax benefits for community health service or things like that.
No exemption from the income tax perspective, but definitely GST is not leviable on basic community health services. So, for example, I think the viewers must be aware with the basic idea of GST that if some service provider is rendering some kind of service, then along with his fee, he need to collect a certain percentage of taxes from the government. It could be 10%, it could be 6%, 12%, or 18%, or 28%, falling under different slabs. But for community health services, they have been exempted, so you don't need to pay GST on them.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. There's a question. Medical already has a lot of years, like almost around 7 years plus the MBA years added. Will it get too late for one to enter the business world?
That was the exact point that I was trying to make, that someone who is really interested to start a startup, he would not have that kind of patience to wait for such a long time. As in, by the time you study your graduation, post graduation, then you do MBA, and then have some practical experience, and then you start your own. You must be in your 30s, right? And it is always said that the younger you start, investors are more comfortable. As if there is some entrepreneur who is planning to start a startup at the age of 20, the interested would feel okay if he is ready to take that risk at such an early stage. He must be convinced with his own idea. He must be super dedicated to his idea, and that is how they invest. As in, that is how they invest on people, right? I'm not saying that people, the investor would not invest on aged people, right? As in someone who is in 30s or 40s, but that is not the trend. People, as in mostly the entrepreneurs, don't have that kind of patience to wait for such a long time. So it is always good to start as early as you can, as early as is possible for you. But it is important that right timing is important. Right timing doesn't depend on your academic qualification, doesn't depend on whether you have done your graduation or post graduation or MBA. When you feel you have a good idea where you can work, you can devote your whole time for the most important time, right? As in the age between 20 to 30 is the time when which will decide your career for the lifetime. So if you are comfortable with that risk of investing that time on your startup, maybe you can drop out from your college and you can start. There are a large number of stories of such people. But if you feel, no, I need to have that kind of understanding, I need to have a proper medical domain expertise plus a good business administration work experience, knowledge and all, then you can simply follow the basic hierarchy, basic path which is there.
Thank you, Dave. I think we'll just move on to the last question for the night. Are there courses available in MBA which can be done parallelly along with doing our post graduation, or a separate thing? Like,
right, it's the healthcare management, as in MBA in healthcare management, plus with for the medical people, as in I can say it's a recent trend. Nowadays, universities have started offering courses, but if someone is there who is planning to study MBA just for having a good experience so that he can own startup, then I feel the virtual MBAs offered by platforms like Udemy, Upgrade, and all, or any foreign portal maybe, as in there are platforms from US and UK who are offering education MBA degrees in India. So that could be really grateful for you. Otherwise, it would all depend on your choices, as in which years you are, what are the time commitment, because each institution, each university is having their own set of principal guidelines when they offer any course to MBA students, right? So there can be no one general statement, okay, yes, there is this particular course. You would need to go about it. You need to check this particular part. But I feel if you are doing it just for the sake of knowledge, then virtual MBA can do also wonders for you. But if you really want to go into the job sector with a proper degree, then of course a proper physical, as in actually attending the course at some college, would be right for you. In that case, I feel after you complete your medical study, then you should go for the MBA studies.
whatever, I think there's just a lot of requests for this one question. How to fundraise for an existing startup when it has failed to raise capital through venture capital rounds? Like, your tips for fundraising in general, maybe.
Okay, so I told this statement, as in I passed this statement when I was talking about the legal consideration and funding part, that funding is a topic which is there in the mind of every entrepreneur as well as the budding entrepreneur, as in how would I get the money from investor, right? uh, and specifically in the current scene where we are in, as in the current world, we are in the midst of a pandemic where the business have been almost shut down. Doing good, but overall the attitude of people is not that good towards the business industry. So in that way, how to manage funding for your startup, I feel, see, number one, as I told, bootstrap till the time it is possible for you, as in till the time you can get your own money invested in your business or from your local sources, maybe family, friends, do that. Once you think that, okay, bootstrapping is no longer possible, approach angel investors. So now when we talk about funding, there are different stages of funding. First is pre-seed, as in when you are at just an idea, no prototype available in the market, no product launched. Then at that time, the whatever round of funding that you raise, it is called that round is called pre-seed funding, as in your business is just a seed now, as in not even a seed, you are raising fund before that. Then pre-seed round, and once you have that seed available in the market, basic product, whatever round of funding that we raise, we call it seed round. Post that, we raise series A, series B, series C, as in as your business scale up, as your business grows, we keep raising next series, series A, series B, further rounds of funding, right? Now, who invest in what round is important, because pre-seed round and seed round are usually invested by angel investors. Now, who are angel investors? Angel investors are the people with money, may not be necessarily startup people, but also people who are as in successful entrepreneur. For example, say if you are planning to start with a healthcare startup, you might have an idea which interests the founder of, say, Practo, Tricog, or any other startup for that matter. If they are really interested, they would be available for you, as in they would be interested to invest as well as mentor you. So the angel investors are a combination. They help you with the funding part plus with their guidance because they are experienced, right? So for the initial round, as in the pre-seed round and seed round, always try to approach angel investor with that domain expertise who can actually help you. For example, say let's talk about Upgrade. Then Upgrade is now invested by Ronnie Screwvala, one of the best entrepreneurs of India. With that, what Upgrade, they of course got the funding from him, but they got his experience, almost 25-30 years of experience. So this is what you should look in an angel investor. Now, after the angel investor, you can go for VC firms. In middle, there are a few number of startups which go for loan part also, as in you can raise funds from banks, you can raise take loan from some other firm, maybe not necessary. If you don't want to dilute your equity, you can go for loan funding, but in that case, profitability is an important answer. Would you be able to pay your loan on time or not? That is the most important question. But angel investor and VC firms. Now, if the question is very specific, okay, if you are not getting funds from VC firms, what to do? Approach more. If you initially approach 100 people, they were not interested, maybe you need to do homework on your idea and then approach new 100 VC investors, because after all, they are the people who will invest. And if they are not investing, there must be some reason why they are not investing. Maybe they don't see that capabilities in your, as in that potential of your idea. Maybe they are not happy with the way the work has been executed so far. So that is the time, as in if you have been rejected by any investor, the first thing that you should do is to do homework about your own business. What is missing? Maybe when they reject you, they say no, you can try to schedule a call with them. Sir, I genuinely respect your decision not to invest, but I would just request for 5 minutes or 10 minutes of your feedback, as in why you think that this is not a fundable project, right? And whatever insights they give you, that could really be helpful for you, is what I feel.
Thanks a lot, Dave. So this was a really interesting talk, and your guidance has surely been very valuable to all of us. And I, on behalf of Medical Students Association of India, thank you for taking out the time to talk to our students.
Thank you so much, Chaitanya, for having me here. As in, it's a great opportunity for me to talk to this young medical association, as in an association full of medical talent of India. And I see many more startups coming up in the near future in the healthcare sector, because as I say, the market is very promising. The opportunities are very wide. Government ka support hai, public ka support hai. We have, it's, as in I could say, it's a complete win-win situation for someone who is genuinely wants to enter into the entrepreneurship world. This is a perfect time. And even investors are ready to invest. The government is there to support. Public is there to experiment your product, right? As in to support you in all the possible way. It is just only the person who really wants to start or not. It is, as in, it is your decision whether you want to start or not. Once you start, all odds would be in your favor, and there is no doubt on that.
Thanks a lot, Dave, for that.
Thank you so much. For any person, as in, because I know that you all come from the medical background, and once you start having a thought of starting, there would be a large number of questions which are coming up. Then my personal advice for all the people who are there listening to me, that number one, try to self-educate yourself from the resources available online. And if you have any specific question, I'm always approachable, as in you can connect me on LinkedIn, you can connect me through the World Youth Heart Federation, on behalf of which I'm taking this session. Through them or through LinkedIn, you can text your query to me and we can possibly connect. If I can help you with that, I would love to help you. This is the last concluding point that I wanted to tell, and that's it from my side. Thank you for having me today.
Thanks a lot, Dave.
All right then. Thank you so much. Thank you, MedFest. Have a good day. Have a good year ahead. Bye-bye.
Guys, do fill out the form if you want the certificate. The form will be closing in 15 minutes. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow for our next webinar.